welcome to Sports Talk with L-Beasley. It is Wednesday afternoon here for me in Detroit, Michigan. And the first topic that I actually want to discuss is something that happened maybe a couple hours after I did my show yesterday. I got done talking about the Eagles and, the whole Deshaun Jackson situation. Next thing I know, a couple hours later, Jason Babin gets cut, which was somewhat of a shock. I guess it was more of a shock for me. I didn't think he was going to be there next year anyway. Like I said, moving forward, I knew that they wanted to let some of their young guys, get going and whatnot, like Brandon Graham, Vinnie Curry and whatnot. But I didn't expect them to cut him with 5 games left in the season. Like I said, it was always pretty obvious to me, obviously, with the issues that the Eagles have had. Some changes should be made and will be made. One of them needs to be Andy Reid. But I really didn't expect them to cut him with 5 games left, but they did. They said it is to, it's probably a little bit of some money, and then at the same time allowing players like Vinnie Curry, Brandon Graham, and, of course, Brandon Graham, I'm happy for him because that's, Michigan alumni right there. But, allowing them to get some more time and whatnot. Babin will be available on waivers to be claimed by pretty much any NFL team from what I've been hearing. And my guess is he is unlikely to clear. So, teams who are hurt for pass rushers are definitely going to go for him, especially, 4-3 defensive end guy who's healthy and coming off of an 18-sack season. He's going to find employment. I know if I'm personally, thinking of Babin, my guess is if he could choose his team, he would want to go to a team where he has a chance to contend for a title. I mean, I know personally for me, that's if I play any sport, if I get cut, waived, whatever, well, not traded, but cut or waived, if I get a chance to sign somewhere and pick my own team, I want to go to a team who's a contender. So, just off the top of my head, as far as contenders who need a pass rusher, it's always New England. They always need a pass rusher. Atlanta. Falcons could use one. San Francisco, obviously they already have obviously a legit great defense, but adding a pass rusher to their already stern defense wouldn't be a bad idea either. So, those are just some people outside my head. And of course, you got your, I guess you could say, not your full scrub teams, but your teams who just need a pass rusher, just trying to build and whatnot. So, like I said, that was really my whole thought on the whole issue. Like I said, it was a shock because, like I said, I expected him to be let go, but not before the end of the season, considering they only have 5 games left. But he was cut. Like I said, he's not going to be unemployed for long. And then, this Philadelphia Eagles team is going to go through some changes anyway. I said that earlier. Like I said, one of them should be Andy Reid. After Andy Reid, some other options and probably be taken into consideration. But it will just be interesting to see how the Eagles what changes they make once the season comes to an end for them. From a coaching standpoint, if they do let go of Andy Reid, who comes in, it's always been rumors about John Gruden being that guy who comes in and kind of basically takes over. There's been also some rumors of some other coaches and things of that nature. So it just be real interesting just to see, what this Eagle team becomes. But like I said, it was somewhat shocking seeing Jason Babin cut. Like I said, I had 18 sacks for the Philadelphia Eagles in 2011. So that was very interesting to indeed. But at the end of the day, it's a business. They do what they do, and he got to do what he has to do. So that's all I really got to say on that. In the NBA world, obviously, it's games every night for the most part, but it's a little bit of a special night tonight because the Houston Rockets play the Oklahoma City Thunder, and yep, that's right, James Harden is coming back to Oklahoma City to face against his old team. Boy, oh boy, that's going to be a good one. As far as what he's been saying, he says it's just another game, and I mean, I find that very hard to believe it's just another game, but it's going to be a good game for sure. At least I believe it will be. Just seeing the intensity. I'm real interested in just how Oklahoma City responds to James Harden. Obviously, he was traded, not, he didn't leave. But, you never know what the fans' perception might be of you. So it's going to be real interesting just to kind of see, once he gets on the court and, the starting lineup is announced, just, kind of how that works, what they'll do. Will they boo? Will they cheer? Will it be boos and cheers? I have no reason to think, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, any of these guys have any resentment towards him. I know, they said they wished him the best, they were going to miss him and things like that, so it's no reason for me to think it's going to be hostile. But I expect to be competitive. For the first time probably since, being in practice, these guys have to play against each other. So it's just going to be real good to see, you were, Oklahoma City had the pleasure of playing with this guy, pretty much for his entire NBA career so far, up until now. So, it's going to be interesting how they defend him, what kind of defenses they choose to use against him, and not just him, this team, period. And quiet is kept, Amara Zeke, has been playing pretty well. I mean, averaging a double-double, 10 points, 12 rebounds. I think he's also averaging like 1.2 blocks. So, I mean, if I'm being honest, he hasn't fully earned the contract. Obviously, it's just, what are we in, like 15 games in? But, at the end of the day, he's still doing what he needs to do. This was somebody I consider who, didn't really deserve all that money. And I'm not saying that he's earned it fully yet, because like I said, to me, when you get contracts like 80 mil, 60 mil, 50 mil, whatever you get, that's earned over the course of what you do with your team. And if you can take them to the playoffs, and you can lead them to a championship, and you make them better. That's how you earn your money, in my opinion. You can average 30 points, but if your team still sucks, to me, that don't mean much. But, just talking about his productivity, he's, like I say, he's been pretty good. Like I said, averaging a double-double, which is impressive, like I said, especially since, like I said, at one point it was a lot of talk about him not necessarily living up to hype. I think he's shooting around 46% from the field, which is nice to see. So, he's been pretty legit and consistent so far. So, hopefully it continues for him. Jeremy Lin is still struggling, but, at times doing his thing. He's been a hazard defensively, and as far as turnovers, he is still a hazard, as is to be expected, so you got to look out for that. But just, I said, just looking forward to the game in itself, just seeing like I said, the intensity of the game, how they check each other. Like I said, it's definitely seeing if a Kevin Durant, James Harden try to check each other in the clutch, because this game could go down in the clutch, and just seeing how that's going to be, because that's going to be real intense, and of course, want to see what the winner's going to be. Moving on to some college hoops. I know I haven't really discussed some college hoops. It's been so crazy with everything with the NBA and NFL. So finally, the other day, I really got a chance to really just sit down and watch at least 3 to 4 college hoops games. But the main ones that stood out was North Carolina versus Indiana first, and then, of course, Michigan versus North Carolina State. Now, I'll go with North Carolina, Indiana first. As far as Indiana goes, number 1 ranked team right now, they're playing like the number 1 ranked team. This is a legit ranking. I felt like it was when they first got ranked. Indiana's a legit team. They have a solid, good starting 5. You got the young freshman and Yogi Ferrell, who's a pure creator. That's what he does best. He understands his role, and he doesn't try to, he does what he's supposed to do. He doesn't try to do extra unless you ask him to. He goes out there, he creates for his team, and he's just a pure hustle guy. I think he had 6 assists last night. The biggest thing with Yogi, with him, I know he can penetrate. The big thing with him is just getting that jump shot. If he can get a jump shot, he's going to be something to watch. Obviously, this kid is only a freshman, so it's plenty of time for him to get to the level where he needs to be. Jordan Hall was great, along with Victor Oladipo. Those guys were both phenomenal. Victor, it's been great to watch Victor just kind of blossom. Last year he was always kind of that defender for Indiana personally, to see him kind of become this scorer, this, more of even of a offensive hustler. He's always a defensive hustler. He go out there and get you rebounds, but to just see his game kind of blossom now where he's taking it to the rack. He's getting out here, he's shooting, and I think he was 8 of 13 the other day, ended up having 19 points, nearly 20 points. He played great. Went and got some boards. I think he had an assist or 2. I think he had a block. He just is all over the place, and that's what you like to see. He's kind of, like I say, he's kind of that hustle piece for you, but just an even more elaborate hustle piece for you. Jordan Hall, shooter all day long. That's what he comes out there and does. He's a leader. He's going to shoot, and that's what he does best. He's that guy for you from 3. Cody Zeller, what can I say? Cody Zeller. He's living up to all the hype that's been talked about, which is not a surprise. I got a chance to see him in high school at least, 2 or 3 times, and I obviously watched him on TV too. So, Cody Zeller's just living up to the hype and doing what he's supposed to do. One thing I love about Cody Zeller, though, he's a patient guy in the post from what I've seen. He doesn't rush it. He has a different series of post moves he can pull out, and because he has such a high IQ, you can do some things with him from the high post. He's a pretty decent passer. Defensively, it was great to see him get in. Just, like I said, I think he had 4 blocks the other day. Just seeing him get in the game and just, defensively block the crap out of a couple people's shots. Like I said, he's getting in there and rebounding, and he's moving up the floor in transition. That was really what was huge for Indiana. I laughed and said, Indiana's getting on the transition, but just imagine if they were able to hit their threes. They were like 40%, I think, total from 3 the other day. I think they went like 8 of 20 the other day, but they make 15, 12 of those, that's an even bigger blowout. That's why I said, they weren't really able to hit the three like they wanted. The best 3-point shooters they had the other night was Hulls and Will Sheehy. So they were the shooters that night. So that's why I was just like, if they could have really got going, from 3 as well, it would have even been an even bigger blowout. But, like I said, they have a strong starting five. The only guy who really didn't show up was Christian Waterford, which was a little, bad because he's kind of that veteran leader for them. And like I said, went 1 of 9. He didn't have a problem shooting. He just had a problem converting the basket. So, looking for that. And the scary thing that I said about Indiana is, they have, like I said, a good solid starting five, and then they have nice depth. I mean, you got Will Sheehy, you got Morris Creek, you got Raphael Smith. I think who else you got on there? You got Ramia Bell. You got all these different guys, and quite frankly, the scary thing is about Indiana is they're not even done. They're missing like 2 or 3 guys, who are either ineligible and will be ineligible coming in December or hurt, so this is going to be an Indiana team to look out for. Like I said, if they can stay consistent, that's the thing about them that I love about Indiana. They come out consistent. They play every game hard. Watching Indiana this season, I think that's one thing I've really enjoyed watching them. They come out with passion and grind every game. It's not just because we play in North Carolina. It's not just because we're playing, Butler or whoever that they're playing. It's, we're coming out and we're playing with intensity because we want to play the game at this level 24/7, and they come out with passion, they come out grinding, and that's what you want to see with an Indiana team. That's what you want to see with any team. And as a Michigan fan, it's kind of like, we'll see y'all come, Big Ten time. We'll see. I'm looking forward to that game for sure. But, like I said, just watching these guys come out the way they do, they come out and execute. Every player knows their role, and that's one of the keys. Knowing your players, using their strengths in your system, and then everybody understanding their role and not trying to overdo it. And that's what right now what this team is doing so well, besides the passion, besides the grinding, and just executing well. So like I said, besides the threes last night, they pretty much did everything well. Like I said, they turned the ball over, I think 10 times, so that was a little bit of a cause concern too. But at the end of the day, they played great. They played great. As far as North Carolina goes, this team is young. You lost everybody. And like I said, I'm a firm believer. It's hard, Calipari, I'm not even a Kentucky fan, but I always commend Calipari for what he's able to do with young teams again and again. Having a young team like the Carolina Tar Heels, you're gonna struggle. You're gonna struggle. This team is young. You're asking James Michael McAdoo, who was a role player, if you will, last year, didn't play a lot. Now you're asking him to be your start and your leader, which is not the easiest thing to do. So you're asking him to just step in. And obviously, I believe with young teams, you get better as the season goes along. And I think that's what just North Carolina's gonna end up being. They're gonna get better as the season goes along. They're young. They have so many things to learn. PJ unfortunately couldn't play last night for North Carolina, which was a huge blow because he is, a key member of their team, which was huge. But this team is gonna get better. But like I said, I'm a firm believer. You don't have any real leadership on that court, unfortunately. Like I said, it's a lot of youth. It's a lot of mistakes. And when you got a lot of youth in a new system and things of that nature, they're going to struggle. And like I said, no leader, no go-to person. And I said so many times on Twitter, I think I've said this a couple times to other people in person, one thing about North Carolina that I've noticed this season is their offense, I don't even say their offense, their defense is contingent upon how they play offensively and vice versa. So if they struggle on one side, they begin to struggle on the other. That's one key thing I have noticed consistently with North Carolina. The same thing I noticed in Butler. They did okay for a minute, then as soon as the defense started to fall apart, so did the offense, and they did the same thing against Indiana. Like I said, it's a multitude of things, but I think that's just something that kind of comes with this team being young. So, like I said, it was more of a shock to see them get blown out the way that they did, because at some point it looked like they just gave up, which is something you hate to see, especially out of these young kids with all this energy. But at the end of the day, they're young, so they might give up easily. But like I said, I'm anticipating that they're gonna get better as the season goes along. Like I said, I'm not saying they're gonna be in the national championship game, but I think they'll get better as they go along. This is a young team. It's about patience. Some people have it, some people don't. We'll see what happens. My Michigan Wolverines, they played North Carolina State, and that was an interesting game as well. North Carolina State, with them, they have an incredible 2012 class. Talking about their seniors from C.J. Leslie to Lorenzo Brown. They have key guys on their team, and they just, they came up short the other day. But, I think it comes down to just this team executing when it comes to North Carolina State. I mean, that towards the end, that was one of the key problems for them, executing, not taking their time. Lorenzo Brown looks more comfortable this year. But like I said, when it came down to the execution towards the end when you really needed it, they didn't do it well. And that was one of the main reasons they lost. But like I said, there's no reason. It was plenty of NBA scouts in the building the other night for that game. And there's no question why. You got C.J. Leslie, you got Lorenzo Brown, and for Michigan, you got Trey Burke, you got Tim Hardaway, you got Mitch McGary, you got Glenn Robinson the third, you got all these guys, so it's no question why all these scouts were in the building yesterday, and I'm pretty sure they were not disappointed by pretty much anything they saw from a talent and intense game perspective. As far as Michigan Wolverines go, they're legit too. I've been hearing people say, they don't think they're legit, and I think they're legit. I think they're gonna be some rough patches, yes. But I think that they're legit. With Trey Burke, I was very happy Trey Burke stayed for another year, not just because I wanted to see him and I felt like we needed him, but I think it's important for him to go through this sophomore season. He's no longer a well-kept secret. I've noticed the last couple games he doesn't typically score well in the first half. Yesterday that was kind of the story of the day. He didn't score at all in the first half. He was Mr. Distributor. And then in the second half he went crazy. He ended up with a double-double, having 18 points and 11 assists. And the most impressive stat about that with Trey Burke was that he had 0 turnovers. If you're a point guard, if you handling the rock, you love to create, that's an important stat. I don't care how many assists you have 20, you have 5. But as a point guard, when you can say I had a double-double, or even you played a great game, you did not turn the ball over, that is huge. And that was the key stat that I didn't want people to forget about. Yes, he played phenomenal. He took his shots. He did what he was supposed to do. And that's what Trey Burke does. But for him to have 18 points, 11 assists, and not turn that ball over, even Michigan as a whole, they did a very good job of not turning that ball over yesterday. I think they only had 6 turnovers, so that was very impressive. Tim Hardaway Jr., it's just amazing to see him getting in the zone. For so long, I watched him in high school. Then when he got here, it just seemed like he was always thinking too much. And that could be an athlete's, in my opinion, worst, enemy. When I play, I know that was something I used to struggle with. I used to think too much. I would overthink it instead of just playing my game. When it was like when I was in the park just playing, I was cool. And then when I got on the court with my team, I would overthink it because I'm trying to make sure everything is done right. And, sometimes you just got to let the game flow through you. Don't force it. Go out there and do your thing. And that's what Tim Hardaway is doing. You can tell he's definitely worked on his game. He's working on, finishing at the basket better, penetration. He worked on creating his own shot, making room for himself. And those are the things that you want to see from Tim Hardaway. The only thing now that he needs to really just get going now is that jump shot. Like I said, that's one of the downsides of Michigan, which I'm going to get to in a minute. But, if he can get that 3-point going, he has that decent mid-range. But if he can get that 3-point shot going, because there are going to be times when they close up the lane, when they're going to need him to be able to score from the outside. But like I said, just impressive. And not just scoring-wise, but just everything he's been doing. Like I said, he's been doing a better job of getting in there, getting rebounds. He's hustling down the floor. He gets a rebound, he's going down the floor, he's leading the team. Tim used to be that guy, if he's struggling, if he's having a bad day. And that's going to be the thing. When he kind of cools off, or if he does cool off, or if he does have a bad game, how does he respond? That was always something with Tim. He didn't always respond the best when he struggled. He put his head down. He continued to struggle instead of just persevering through, maybe like your Trey Burke would do. So that's the thing I'm looking at with Tim Hardaway. When he does struggle, how is he going to persevere through it? Because you are going to struggle. It's just the way the world is. You're going to have your good times, you're going to have your bad times. Just the way it is. Glenn Robinson the third, phenomenal freshman. Like I said, he brings us that athleticism, that versatility, that penetration. I actually wouldn't mind him being a little bit more aggressive. He only took 5 field goal attempts the other day. I would actually mind him being a little bit more aggressive, because I feel like when Glenn, Tim, and Trey are all aggressive, this team is unstoppable, because we're able to penetrate and score from the outside, and then that opens up the door for the post opportunities for like Horford and Morgan and McGary. So for me, that's the things that I'm looking at. And to me, in my opinion, the most underrated freshman in the Michigan class this year was Nick Stauskas. I said that at the beginning of the season. This is going to be the most underrated. Everybody was focused on Glenn Robinson III and Mitch McGary, and rightfully so. They're amazing players, obviously by just their impact that they've already had. But Nick Stauskas to me was always going to be an underrated guy. He was a underrated recruit. I remember looking at his film and said, this guy's kind of Mr. Versatility, Mr. Do Everything. He can shoot. He showed that last night, going 4-7 from 3-point. He went 6-10 from the field. He takes good shots, and he has a high basketball IQ. He understands his role. Like I said, he's that guy who can go out there and shoot for you. He'll drive and penetrate and score that way. He'll run the floor. He'll play defense. He'll even create a little bit for you. So those are the things that I'm looking for out of Michigan. That's what's really going to count. And then you just need other players like your Mitch McGary, like your Jordan Morgan, like your John Horford to just continue to step up. Play your role. With Jordan Morgan, he looks more comfortable than he did in the past. He's still not scoring the way you may want him to, but he looks more comfortable. Mitch McGary, he has a great motor. The thing about him is he's only a freshman, so it's just about him getting that motor under control, knowing when to use it, and then just, being a little bit more aggressive. One thing about him is, I think he had 8 points the other day, went 3 or 4 from the field. Being a little bit more aggressive when he is out there, but at the same time, make sure whatever shots he does take are smart shots. Like I said, I think he had 8 points and 5 rebounds the other day, so he has to continue to get better. But this team is going to get better. There's no question. One thing I will say about Michigan, though, and this is going to be the interesting thing, as I said before, the difference this year with Michigan is not a scoring team from the outside as much as before. That was Michigan's kind of like basically profile identity last year, even the year before that. That's what they did. They were a shooting team. Trey Burke, if he couldn't lay it up and penetrate, it was a kick out to one of his shooters. This year, you still have that option, but as they showed last night, they're not the best shooting team anymore. They were 37% for 3 the other day. That's not what they do. They were 50% from the field. So obviously you can see when they're in the field, they're doing great. Just like I said, getting to the hole, penetrating the paint, doing things like that, getting it into the post, all those different things, mid-range, all those things they're doing well. But when it comes to the 3, they're struggling. And that's something that if a team plays zone against them, it's going to be really interesting to see what Beeline and the rest of this Michigan coaching staff comes up with, to kind of make up for that. The great thing is you do have a Trey Burke. You do have a Tim Hardaway and even a Glenn Robinson who don't mind penetrating that paint and getting in there and making some plays, especially Trey Burke and Tim Hardaway, and definitely Trey Burke because they know how to create for others. So that's going to be the key. When they do get a zone defense against them, how will they respond? Because like I said, that is somewhat of their weak link. And I would like to see them do better rebounding too. That's one thing I've also noticed lately. When it comes to the rebound side of it, they do allow a little bit too. They ain't on near allow double-digit rebounds when it comes to offensive rebounds, which I don't like. And they need to do a little bit better transitional D. A lot of times I do see them get confused on defense a lot. Lack of communication. That's something that can happen when you have a young team and whatnot. You got these young leaders who are trying to lead the new freshmen coming in. So at the end of the day, it is going to get better with that. But defensively, rebounding, I would like to see them just get a little bit better. Like I said, when they're in the half-court setting, they typically are okay. But when it gets to that transition, sometimes they struggle. And definitely when it comes to offense, getting that defensive rebound, they allow a couple, in my opinion, too many offensive rebounds. So something to look out for. As far as today, there's going to be some other good college basketball games to look out for. Definitely, of course, you got the Ohio State versus Duke game, which I'm looking forward to. And I'm looking forward to the battle of the point guards, man. I'm a big person of the battle of the point guards. It was a big, I enjoyed watching Brown and Burt the other day. I enjoyed watching Page and Farrell the other day for Indiana and North Carolina. So now I'm looking forward to watching Aaron Craft and Cook. That's who I'm looking forward to watching, seeing how they both play and, seeing how Plumlee plays. He's been exceptional, more than exceptional, averaging nearly 20 points and 10 rebounds a game. Like I said, been crazy good. Thomas for Ohio State averaging 24 points, 7 rebounds. I think Ohio State needs one more person to step up. That's one thing about them. They seem to be a little iffy at times, but I do want to see some other players step up. But Duke is another team who I feel is equally ranked at number 2. I think they're going to get tested today, but, like I said, with Cook and Plumlee, with the way that they're playing, and then with other players like Thornton and Kelly stepping up as well and doing their part, this is definitely a team, and, an exceptional, this is a team to look out for. No question. Another good game I'm looking forward to is the Michigan State Spartans versus the Miami Hurricanes. Just looking forward to this game just for the main fact. Neither one is Miami's more of a scoring team. Miami lately I think Miami's been scoring they've been averaging around 72 points a game. So just seeing how they're going to play, Michigan State's a defensive team. They only allow maybe 58 points to be scored against them. They're not a high scoring team. They're not necessarily that team who's going to go up there and put a lot of points up against you. But they are a team, who's going to defend well. 5-1 Michigan State, and Miami, Florida's 3-1. So I'm just looking forward to seeing, how both teams play. Keith Applin has been kind of the guy when the game gets in the clutch to step up, which is great. That's what he did at Persian. That was somebody I was blessed to definitely watch while he was at Persian. I went to plenty of Persian games. When he was here in high school, just seeing how he plays and, just doing a better job of taking care of the ball from Michigan State, and other players, like I said, Brandon Dawson continuing to step up his, his transition after coming back from that torn ACL has been amazing. So he needs to continue to play his role both defensively and offensively. Still looking for somebody else to step up. Obviously Gary Harris is a little bit of a question right now. It's been said he could play today. I know it's supposed to be a doctor's decision. I know Travis Trice is still out as well. So they're missing some guys right now, some key guys. Shooting wise, they've been struggling a little bit, but like I said, they take care of the ball. They play that Michigan State defense that some people love and some people hate. They should be fine, like I said, but that's one of the keys. But I'm definitely looking forward to those games. Among some other games that's going to be on for college basketball and NBA tonight. So, once again, I hope you enjoyed today's segment of Sports Talk with L-Beasley. Definitely wanted to get more into some college basketball. Like I said, I love college basketball. I love college football. Those are my two favorites. So definitely wanted to get some more into that. I hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to let me know if you agree, disagree. Leave comments. Like I told you guys, I'm trying to do a better job of commenting. But you guys comment to me. So be sure to leave comments on YouTube or on my website, LaurenBeasley.com. I really appreciate it. Always trying to interact with my fans. Speaking of interaction with my fans, if you guys want me to be a guest on your show, please let me know. I've been getting some requests. I haven't had a chance to respond to all of them. I promise you in due time I will. But yeah, if you want me to be a guest on your show, I would love to be a guest on your show. For those who wondering why I'm no longer inviting people to be a guest on my show, the reason I'm not inviting you to be a guest on my show is because I'm expanding. I haven't made the announcement on how, when, where yet, all that jazz, but I am expanding, so right now I can't really have any guests. I hope to make the announcement in a couple weeks. So that's why it's no offense to anybody. It's just I'm expanding. Hopefully this expansion plan will allow you guys to be a guest even more easier than what you think. So that's going to be something I announce soon, hopefully. But like I said, if you want me to be a guest on your show, all my contact information is on the credits at the end. So be sure to contact me, whether it's through email, whether it's through my website, through Twitter, Facebook, social networking, doesn't matter at all. Go check out MoneyballSportswear.com. They're a huge supporter of me, Lauren Beasley, and my show, Sports Talk with L-Beasley. So go check them out. You're going to love their clothes. You love Nike, you love Under Armour, you're going to love Moneyball. Go check them out. The only way to ball is Moneyball. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday afternoon and evening, and I will see you guys tomorrow.